Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. 1 week before the crucial midterm elections, the Republican Party, from the president on down, is growing ever more desperate. Donald Trump and the GOP have controlled the government for almost 2 years, but with apparently little to show for it, they are engaging in an increasingly reckless, indeed dangerous gambit. They are throwing red meat to their most rabid supporters instead of running on the record. Today, the president floated the idea of ending birthright citizenship as guaranteed by the United States Constitution, something Donald Trump almost certainly cannot legally do. Yesterday, the administration announced plans to send 5,200 U.S. troops to the border, potentially stationing up to 14,000 there because of migrant mothers and children almost 900 miles away coming on foot to ask for asylum. Before that, it was Donald Trump's promise to pass a fictitious tax cut for the middle class, even though Congress won't even be in session again until after the midterms. But as the rhetoric gets more desperate, it also gets more dangerous. It's only been 4 days since Trump fanatic Cesar Sayoc was arrested for sending bombs to leading Democrats and critics of the president. And in Pittsburgh today, people lined up to attend the first funerals after the horrific anti-Semitic slaughter on Saturday when 11 people were murdered at a synagogue. The man arrested for that crime, Robert Bowers, admitted on social media that he was motivated by a racist anti-Semitic lie, a smear about Jews bringing in, quote, invaders, meaning those very same Central American migrants. A grotesque sentiment reflected by the constant fear and hate-mongering on Trump TV.
Either Democrat operatives in this country are working with this caravan, or the drug cartels, or both.
We simply cannot tolerate the continued invasion of this country.
We don't know what people have coming in here.
What about diseases?
And what about the diseases that are coming in from Africa?
We have diseases spreading across the country that are causing polio-like paralysis.
Kids are being paralyzed like
smallpox and leprosy and TB.
Measles, mumps, rubella, tuberculosis, hepatitis.
Just to repeat what you just said, HIV, measles, pertussis, rubella, rabies, that's just a fact.
Now, the Republicans' desperation makes some political sense, analytically speaking. 538 reports today the Democrats could have huge opportunities to win GOP House seats, while the nonpartisan Cook political report just moved 2 seats closer to Republicans and 4 closer to the Democrats. In Utah, Republican Congressman Mia Love is down by 6 points. In Utah, in Montana, Congressman Greg Gianforte, the one who body slammed a reporter and then lied about it, is tied with his Democratic challenger. Another new poll shows Iowa Congressman Steve King in an overwhelmingly Trump-friendly district up by just a single point against his Democratic opponent. We'll be talking more about him and his white nationalism later in the show. All of that and more is why Republicans are trying so hard to whip their base into a frenzy. As Democratic Senator Brian Schatz of Hawaii tweeted today, quote, "Remember that we close on health care and corruption, and they can close with whatever toxic racist stew they want." Senator Brian Schatz joins me now. Senator, what do you make of this strange, desperate, gross closing argument from the Republican Party?
I think you hit it exactly on the head. It's strange, it's desperate, it's toxic, it's awful. And what it shows is that the Republicans realize that all of their actual ideas, both in terms of what they want to do in the future, in terms of cutting Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, and in terms of what they've done over the last 2 years in terms of the largest upward wealth transfer in American history and the attempt to take away health care protections for people with pre-existing conditions, everything that they're actually for is totally unpopular. So they're left lying about what they're for or trying to distract us with racism and xenophobia.
You know, you mentioned health care. This is, I think, my favorite little nugget from this campaign so far. There are a number of Republican members of Congress who are running in competitive districts whose Democratic challengers have been saying they voted to take away protections for pre-existing conditions. All of these members, I think there's 7 of them, have then said, no, 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 that claim that I voted for that gets 4 Pinocchios from the Washington Post fact checker. That claim itself is a lie, completely invented, that has prompted the fact checker to tell them to stop saying it, and they have all refused.
Yeah, they're just left with lying. I mean, Josh Hawley, for instance, the Attorney General in Missouri, is a guy who's on the lawsuit to eliminate protections for people with pre-existing conditions. I mean, the gall of these people is incredible, but it really shows that they have literally run out of ideas. I know how these guys work. They sit down, they try to figure out what they've done that is popular, they run a poll, they sit down with their operatives, and they figure out what they're going to talk about. If they're at the point where they're talking about a caravan of people 1,000 miles away of unarmed individuals, if that's the thing they're closing with, it means that nothing that they are for, nothing that they plan to do, and nothing that they have done is at all popular. And that's why we're going to close on the following message. We're going to protect your health care, and they are corrupt, and we are here to stop them.
What do you think about the president's appearance in Pittsburgh today? It was notable to me that no one else joined him. Other Republicans and Democrats both alike declined to join him at that. Lots of people in the community obviously protesting his appearance today. What did you think?
Well, I want to talk a little bit about the protests, and I just saw a 2-minute clip from your network, and I was touched. I was nearly in tears to watch these individuals. It was not a typical sort of political protest. It was quiet. There was singing. Apparently, some people are observing their own religious traditions. And there's a sense that something bigger than politics is going on. We have to tap into our collective humanity. And it's not just about rejecting Republican policies over the last 2 years or what they want to do to us over the next 2 years. Now we have to rebuke the way they're conducting themselves over the last 7 days of this campaign.
Yeah, what do you mean by that? What does it mean if they win this way?
Well, it means that lying will have been successful. It means that racism will have been successful. It means that appealing to our most base instincts will have been successful. But remember, all of their positions are minority positions. All of their positions are unpopular, so that the only way that they're going to be successful in this election is if people don't show up. And I understand it's a midterm, and I understand that, young people and presidential voter types who only show up every 4 years are not expected to turn out. But we can take this country back if we show up, and we absolutely have to show up.
Last point here, and I thought you would appreciate this data point. You talked about Medicare, Social Security, Medicaid. This is from one of our own producers at a Texas early voting spot in Texas 32. Talking to people's suburban early voting spot today, GOP woman said she has a sign for Pete Sessions in her yard. That's a Republican. Voted straight our ticket, but was spooked at the last minute by TV mailers saying he was going to take away Social Security, Medicare. So she voted to Colin Allred, who's the Democratic challenger, which is sort of music, I think, probably to your ears.
Yeah, and that's because it's true. We are out there telling the truth about what they want to do. This is not a rhetorical flourish. This is not a talking point. This is what Mitch McConnell promises, and this is what Paul Ryan has been dreaming about since he was in college.
Sitting around kegs, I think, is the phrase, particularly dreaming of cutting Medicaid. Senator Brian Schatz, thank you for joining me. Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.